I made some notes. He was very, very wary about whether I had any recording devices on us. He kind of checked that I didn't have anything, made sure that I kept my camera in the car, and we drove to a quiet location, and as I said, we spoke for about 15 minutes. This man said that he was in a black ops unit that was controlled by the Yanks. That's what he said. And he said that when he volunteered for this in the 1980s, he didn't know what he was getting himself into. He said that we didn't know what we were volunteering for, but once we'd volunteered, we had no choice but to stick with it. You're in for life. And he said that if they find out that people like him speak about what their operations, he wouldn't be here and his family wouldn't be here. He was implying that his life is at risk and his family's if he was to speak about what he knows about. Now, I asked him about this alleged encounter with the UFO. In the previous notes, it was stated that one of these black ops soldiers was just 5 feet from a UFO. I asked him about this and he confirmed that that was the case. And I said to him, well, how come you were so close to it? And he said, we were guarding it. All right, so I said, well, was it a crash retrieval? And he said, right, I can't tell you any more information about that, so read into that what you will. Now, he also said that he witnessed all kinds of things in and around the craft. He said that he actually witnessed an ET on more than one occasion, and he said it's nothing like you would see in films with big eyes and smiley faces. And I said, well, what did this being look like? And he said it looked like a devil, which is possibly some kind of reptilian entity. Now, and he also said that they would rip you apart. That was what he said, and he said that he did get a view of inside this particular landed UFO, and he said that there was all kinds in there, and he implied that there was human body parts in there, and we've heard that from people such as Bill Cooper in the past.
There were many more saucer crashes and downed craft than what you have realized. There were many more alien bodies recovered, and there were more live aliens recovered than what you are aware of. But that's not important. The important thing is that they occurred, not how many and not where. The important thing is that they occurred. And those of you who want to argue over how many and where and how many bodies are wasting the time of everyone else, because that's not important. What's important is that they occurred. And there are two crashes that are so important that the government will go to any lengths to prevent you from finding out. And those are two crashes which occurred near the city of Aztec, New Mexico. Why? Because both of those crashed craft contained human body parts. And they are deathly afraid of a national panic.
Now, I asked him about his injuries because he clearly has got health problems, and as have a number of the people who were on his team, and he said that some of his colleagues were no longer with us, so they've died as a result of their injuries, which were they suffered as a result of being in part of this find and secure team. He also said that they have all suffered skin rashes, cancer, skin cancer, and tumours as well. And like I say, some of his friends on that unit have already passed away, and they'll only be probably in their early 50s. Now, I asked him about the injuries to try and get him to describe the injuries that have been found on some of these recovered corpses, and he just said, you just wouldn't want to see it. All right. He also gave information about an underground facility near Sunnybridge, and also confirmed the radar facility, which is hidden under the ground on the Brecon beacons, which comes up at night, some radar facility which is used for tracking the UFOs. And I asked him, you know, how come you're able to do this? And it's because he confirmed again that they have advanced warning, and he doesn't know how. He doesn't know how they know when these UFOs are going to appear. And I asked him how often he would go out on these missions, these find and secure missions. He said about 4 times every 6 months. I asked him about the statement in Derek Goff's notes that they witnessed between 30 and 40 mutilated human beings. He confirmed that. He confirmed that, you know, there's a lot of cases, and he said that it was something you would not want to see. And he was saying, oh, films are all good enough about UFOs and ETs and all of this. He said, but when you get involved in it for in reality, it's a completely different thing. And the other thing he said was, he says this statement that aliens are friendly, that he's obviously heard through watching media and whatnot, he says he was no way. And I said to him, well, how long do you think this sort of activity is being going on for? And without flinching, he said, since before we were here. And I said, is it still going on now? Absolutely. And I said to him, do you believe that there's different types of being, different types of alien? And he said, yes, he did believe that. But the one that he described was, as he said it was like a devil. He says, but it would rip you apart, extremely strong and powerful. I asked him about locations where this activity is going on, and he said he believed that it was happening all over the world. I also asked him how he felt about his situation, the fact that he's not allowed to speak about anything, and the fact that he's obviously physically affected by the radiation burns that he received. And he said he didn't have any hard feelings about it, because he said that we signed up for this. Okay, we didn't know what we were signing up to, but we knew it was something that could put our lives at risk, so I signed up for it. So he doesn't, and he said that's why they're looking after him now. They're obviously giving him some sort of probably psychological and physical support, and probably financial support for his service in this Special Forces group. I didn't get a chance to get the name confirmed. I didn't ask him about Group 58, didn't ask him about NATO, although he definitely reacted in a way the other day to suggest that NATO, it was a NATO group, but today he's described it as a Black Ops group. He had physical sort of lumps on his lips, which possibly was part of this skin tumour, skin cancer that he was talking about. He's on crutches, and he's probably only about 50 years of age. And just from his demeanour and his mannerisms, the way that he put it across, he was confirming pretty much everything that I was asking him about the original Goff interview, and he also gave me additional information. So for me, I'm convinced that this activity has gone on and is still going on, that the ET phenomenon, or the UFO phenomenon in the UK and other parts of Europe at least, is linked to human mutilation cases. One of my objectives was to recover the photographs from the source, but these were not forthcoming. I have no reason to doubt Derek Goff was in possession of the images. At my time of meeting the military source, he seemed to flip-flop over the idea of giving me images of mutilation cases, which he explained he did have in his possession. Here is a list of information he relayed to me in a series of 5 meetings in the latter half of 2013. He joined the military when he was 17, straight from school, and initially trained as a para. He was stationed at Hereford, and they were asked if they wanted to volunteer for something different. 11 volunteers were picked out. It was a Special Forces Black Ops group under command of NATO, in which the Yanks were in charge. Other countries' governments were aware of the operations, but most do not have the technology to deal with it, therefore allowed the Americans to get on with it under the umbrella of NATO. This includes the Russians. Whilst on an operation near the Russian border, a UFO came out of a cavern system and nearly took their heads off, upon which they opened fire. Opening fire would not usually affect a UFO. He thought that there would definitely be another group carrying out these operations today. The operation in Brecon Beacon, where the 2 bodies were discovered, was on Talibant Mountain. The military have secret systems based on a laser that can bring down UFOs. There are 8 around the world that he knew of, 2 in the UK, 1 in Germany and a few in the US. It disables or interferes with the propulsion of the UFO and causes them to come down. The military had an idea roughly as to where and when the UFOs were appearing, and would send their team out in advance of firing this weapon. Once the evidence is secured, another totally separate team would come to the site. This could take days. They referred to that team as the collectors, who were always American. They would leave with the evidence and would just leave the find and secure team to fend for themselves. He is still in touch with some of the soldiers from his team, 2 of whom have now died. He has seen hundreds of UFOs, some landed and some in the sky. There was a variety of different shapes. They were not flying saucer shaped, some triangular, others square or rectangular, not aerodynamic shapes. They ranged in size from the size of a car to 3 times the size of an articulated lorry. The surfaces were smooth and some had overlapping tiles. They usually had lights on them of varying colours and configurations. One craft gave off a light like an arc welder and caused damage to their eyes, and he had to be admitted to hospital after that incident. Another craft which they got close to looked metallic, but when pushed by hand gave way, having some kind of elastic property which returned to the original shape after applying a force. He said he thought that because some of the craft were so small, there must be bigger mother-type ships which these craft had come from. I suggested that UFOs might use reservoirs as hiding places, and he said no, they don't go in reservoirs, although when asked where they do go, it seemed he wasn't sure. He said they just appear. He did not know where they were originating from, but stated they are here, meaning they are in our atmosphere regularly. He said they can just appear, and when asked about cloaking, confirmed that he thought they had those kind of abilities and also incredible dynamics. He said they can come down to the ground very quick. The first operation he was involved with was in northern Scotland, and the largest recovery of bodies was in Australia, a case where 24 bodies had been left. Injuries are the same as animal mutilation type injuries. He said that internal organs would be removed and also brains. He seemed to think that anything connected with the nervous system is what they would take. He did not see a lot of blood on the corpses. They usually choose remote, out-of-the-way places to carry out human mutilations. They knew where to go and where to take from, where the people would not be missed for a long time. Bodies included people and children. He has multiple sclerosis and is on crutches. He has various scars, one of which he showed me on his right arm just below the elbow. He has 3 pins in his hip, he had work done on his shoulder and has had a knee replacement. His friends who were in the unit have had brain tumours and cancers. 2 are now dead. He said that he hasn't had cancer and then said, touch wood, indicating he is worried about it. I asked if he communicated with any of the ETs he claimed to have seen. He replied no. He said they were incredibly quick. They could move 60 metres in a split second. He said they are not friendly and you would not approach one. He saw 2 of them wearing what looked like a wetsuit or a flight suit. He said you could not approach them on your own. You needed cover because they were so quick. He said he witnessed 3 distinct types of ETs on these missions. He stated that in 4 or 5 of these cases there were craft debris and they were able to see what had been on board the craft. This included human and animal body parts. He claimed there is a UFO tracking facility in the military land at Sennybridge. It is stored under the ground and comes up at night. It consists of a large aerial, quite wide, about 50 to 60 metres high. It can be seen from the public road at night above the trees. There is also a radar dish that rotates, and it too only comes up at night. It is about the size of a car. The aerial is used somehow to track the UFOs. He believes there are more facilities like this elsewhere in the world. I showed him an image on my camera of where I thought the tracking system was located based on information from Derek Goff, and I did not have it quite right. It is actually behind the trees further back in this image I showed him. This site is very well monitored by CCTV. He said that a rabbit couldn't even get in there without being picked up. There is a public road where the facility can be seen, but he warned me, do not go along the road that goes to the facility at night under any circumstances, implying that would be very dangerous. He claims the underground facility there goes down 10 levels. He left the forces in 1999, but still has contact with the base. He said he thought this issue was being covered up in order to keep control of society. He mentioned religion and how that might be affected. He also mocked much of the information that exists in the UFO field, stating that much of it is put out to confuse and mislead the public. He said he felt the problem might be getting bigger and also that it could not be kept secret forever. He thought the information might at some point come out officially. After the meetings with the military source, I continued to request further meetings with him to try and obtain the photographs, but neither further meetings nor photographs were forthcoming. It was clear he had gone cold on me. Skeptics will undoubtedly now say, how do we know the military source was telling the truth? This, of course, is a valid point, but if one looks at the surrounding circumstantial evidence, such as the attempts to silence and discredit Derek Goff, the fact that after 16 years of silence the military source repeated exactly the same story to me, his initial reaction when I contacted him, the fear he had of being recorded, his injuries, his knowledge of military groups and operations, and his access to photographs of mutilated bodies, all these point to the story, incredible though it is, being genuine. During my visits to South Wales, I did take some footage near where the alleged tracking facility is located. I'm just at the bottom of the military road, and it says military road ahead, open to public unless otherwise stated. So,
forward U-turn.
Road open. So this is saying it's okay. Now, as I said, yeah, we've got the cattle grid here, and the facility, it's just down there. Dare I go down there? Dare I go down there? No entry except for MOD traffic. See, could be anything there.